Greetings to all. You are watching Wisdom with Anthony. Sometimes what happens that we struggle to find the words, and in case if we are in the conversation, sometimes we interact with somebody but we fall ourselves very short and we find ourselves very short. The reason behind we do not get the word for the place or for the time. I mean to say that when we are in the conversation, sometimes we struggle a lot, sometimes it becomes the hindrance to find the exact word, and we keep on doing the fillers, we stammer, we murmur, and still we do not get the exact word. So today we will be discussing for the specific problem and we'll try to get the best solution out of this. So let me get started without wasting time. I would like to give you one situation where you can imagine yourself a speaker and you are in the conversation. Obviously, you have somebody to speak with. You can imagine yourself and you can imagine another person. You are speaking, maybe you are speaking over the topic of weather, how the weather is today. So, when you are in the conversation, sometimes there are many terms that you want to say. If you want to say it is so cloudy, you can say, okay, it is very cloudy today. Or otherwise, there is one more word that you can use, is overcast. Sometimes if you do not know what do we say a particular word when the wind blows very heavily, that's not a case to get disturbed. What can you do over there? In case if you do not know whether it is to be called storm or gusty wind, you can go with the simple explanation. Let me give you one more example. Suppose your house is just 100 meters away from the main road, and there is one street that access to your house, and on that street, on the other sides, on both the sides, houses are there, and that road, that street is under construction. Maybe you can say a pavement road is under construction over there, but you want to reach there at your home. You want to stay out there for whole night? Obviously no. You will get a solution. How? You will get an alternate route to reach your home. The whole night you want to sit there and to wait when that gets dried up and you may walk upon. No. Whenever one thing is not working, what do? We find another way. Obviously, you must have seen when you buy a lock, there are always 3 keys with that. It shows that with the problem there are solutions, and when you lose all 3 of those keys, you get another. You go to the lock maker and you can get built other keys as well. Are you getting me what I mean to say? So whenever you are in the conversation, first of all, you need to be very fully attentive and focused. Focus on what, sir? What shall I focus? I'm talking about here, I'm stammering, I'm fumbling, I'm struggling, and I'm not able to get the words, and you are telling me to be focused? Hold on. What can you do over there? Just for a second, hold on to your nerves. Give yourself a time. Focus what the other person is saying. Be attentive when you make eye contact. So these are some gestures that you can show yourself confident. Because as always I say, a confident guy is always better than a talented guy. If you have confidence, you may have lots of ways. You have alternate routes. When you are attentive, you know. Because when you are listening, the one function is being done by the brain that is making the picture of that. Your brain is actually imagining. As we have discussed earlier also, our brain works in images. That point later on I will be covering up. So give yourself an image what you are listening. That is the best way to produce an answer in your brain, and that can be channelized through your mouth. Then, if you are focused, automatically you get the words, because you are picturizing something in the brain, and when brain picturizes that, it supplies something that comes in the shape of words or in the form of words. Then, listen to understand. It is very difficult task nowadays. It has become. Why? How many ears God has given us? 2. How many mouths do we have? 1. Reason behind? Listen more, feed yourself more, and speak out less. Less means what? If you are a good listener, as somebody said, you can only be a good speaker in case you are a good listener. If you are a good listener, in order to become a good speaker, I need to become a good listener, because a good listener can speak well and in a better way. There is no alternate for listening. You need to pay attention in order to accomplishment of my conversation. I hope you are getting what I mean to say. If you want to understand something, you need to pay your all ears to the thing. You need to pay attention. Give your all ears. What happens in this way? You are assimilating the content. Your brain is picturizing, decoding, then encoding and presenting. Are you getting me what I mean to say? In this way, the conversation comes both-sided. It doesn't become a single-sided affair. It comes from both sides. Then, imagine the word or the action. Sir, how shall I do this? Imagine a situation that may have occurred earlier with you. If you are in the conversation at present, imagine that. When you imagine, your brain just picturizes that, it supplies you, as I have already said. What happens when you imagine? Actually, your brain has stored up everything in the form of pictures, images. It is not so calculative that it kept everything in the form of alphabetic order. No. It has kept everything in the form of images. And when you create an image, that's why stories are more likely to be kept in mind for longer than any other content that we study in schools. You can recall any story. If I tell you the story of Thirsty Crow, within a second, you can just recall it. If I ask you, what does the rule says about sine theta cos theta, it takes a longer. If you are not in the touch of mathematics, I hope you are getting what I mean to say. My main motive is to let you know that stories, if narrated, they are in the form of images. Image 1, image 2, like comics, no? Why children likely to very enthusiastic? They are very enthusiastic to read comics. Pictures. That's why, smaller classes you must have seen there is very less content but more pictures. Now you can relate it with. So, it's a better way to express. It becomes easy to express yourself. And sometimes I have found that people know in order to be a good speaker or in order to get a good conversation, healthy conversation, they rush always towards getting difficult words. See, first of all, you need to understand we need not to get any kind of certificate from anyone that we speak good English. The main thing is that we need to understand the purpose of speaking English must accomplish. When it accomplishes, when we have the healthy conversation, when we are able to understand, when we are understood easily and coherently and effortlessly. When you are speaking effortlessly, it means that you are understood. When you are listening, with focus, full focus, your focus is there on the speaker. That time what is happening? You are showing a part of the conversation that is the most important part, is listening. Speaking comes later. Are you getting what I mean to say? I mean to say, we need to be simple. Sometimes finding in the complex word, we make a lot of mistakes. We falter. We get fumble. We get stumble. Lots of things where we do. Why? Just for the sake of just a show off or in the flaunting way, if we want to speak, we want to exaggerate the things. Sometimes we need to be so simple. When you are simple, you are slow. One more thing I want to suggest to you that I have not mentioned over here, that's being slow. You need to be a little slower. Your pace of speaking should be a little slower at the initial stage. Later on you can just know, because English is spoken in very free way. English is a sort of a language that you can speak in very fluently. It's not like other languages like Urdu or something that we need to give some pauses. In Hindi also we need to give lots of pauses. But it goes in a flow. So, if you are simple, you get another picture, you can speak it up. You are speaking it up, you are getting another picture, you are speaking it up. But when you make the things complex, your brain cannot tackle it. Your brain cannot identify, and that time you fumble. The brain gets some hindrance and the supply of the words stopped there. Now you understood? When the supply of the words stopped, that time we fumble. Now I am speaking to you. What is happening over here? I am fully focused to my brain because I have trained my brain. I have already instructed my brain to give me the ideas. So is happening. Then allow for silence. Sometimes, we are not patient. We don't have patience. We don't want to show patience. That is something we need to see. We need to be patient. We need to show our sincerity. We need to show our patience. In hurry-burry, we make lots of mistakes. We give wrong answers. We speak out wrong words. Later on, we get embarrassed over the talk that we had with somebody. Then we try to find out the flaws and the errors while speaking. That's okay. First of all, let me let you know the mistakes are bound to happen. But hold on. The same mistake if you are doing again and again, that's a problem. That's not a mistake. Then we need to give it a check. Check it. Correct it. Don't repeat. So, what easiest way that you can make it out for you? Just imagine, be a good listener, be focused, be simple into conversation, and last but not least, at least be patient. Silence also matters. And sometimes your gestures also helps you out. Your emotions, don't try to control the emotions. If there is a healthy conversation, happy talk, try to smile. If somebody is very grim in the talk, then just give the gesture accordingly. Then, after all, the main conclusion, as always, I would let you know, practice all these in order to make yourself a fluent speaker. Right? If you don't practice these things, all these are all in vain. That is waste. Whatever the time that you have spent, the time that you have given to me to listen all these ideas, these are waste without the last idea, that is practice every single day. I know it's tough. But in order to get the result, when your eyes are on the target, when you want to hit the target, there is something for you, and that you do with the thought. Everything starts from the thought, and that thought make you work accordingly, and when you work accordingly, nothing can stop you, become unstoppable. I hope you must have got the idea what actually I wanted to tell you, or the message that I want to convey. So, first of all, I would like to say sorry that I brought my video maybe after a long gap of 1.5 months, but I will be regular now onwards, and some of the grammar topics also will be covering up. Not very complex, I'm not talking about that. In order to have the healthy conversation and a good conversation to make you a good speaker of the language, we will be discussing some essential topics that are required in order to become a fluent speaker. So till then, take care, bye-bye.